Another example I'm thinking about is like recess appointments for the labor board, for card check things. So I'm wondering if you think that's kind of something that's going on, if you foresee the circumvention of the legislative process.
We've already seen the threat by the head of the EPA, Lisa Jackson, to Congress, and it's a very explicit threat saying if you don't enact cap and trade, then we will do it from an administrative executive order sort of approach, or a regulatory approach. And you're already seeing this where the EPA is trying to impose itself into this debate by using the Clean Water Act and to declare carbon dioxide emissions a threat to health. And so this has already started, and I think it's only the very beginning. And that's why Congress has to step forward very strongly and say no to a cap and trade position. Let's go forward with a sensible 21st century energy strategy that's comprehensive and that doesn't pick winners and losers. It puts us on a competitive footing going forward, and at the same time tells the administration, no, you cannot circumvent the will of Congress and the will of the American people on this.
Well, what do you think about the Kerry bill, bill that's coming out? I think it's April 26th, I believe. Have you heard anything about what their vote count is, or if they've got the votes?
Well, they're still working on the legislative language of the bill, so we haven't seen the final details. But conceptually, it sort of breaks things up into different energy sectors. And I think in the transportation sector, it goes with more of a pure carbon tax. In the electricity sector, it's a cap and trade sort of approach, but it's same problems, and it's going to run up costs for everybody in energy without a transition strategy. And furthermore, it will tax natural gas production, which hurts jobs and the economy. But there's no transition strategy in hopes of having something in the future. And that's why we need to be sensible about our energy strategy going forward. And we're having those kinds of discussions in the halls of Congress today. We will do everything we can to defeat this cap and trade approach because it's the wrong approach. And let's invest going forward in new energy while not penalizing and punishing our current energy production.
What is the latest on the political feasibility of cap and trade? It's been declared dead a couple of times and resurrected once or twice. I mean, what's the latest situation?
Well, clearly, we had a bill that passed the House that was deeply flawed, and then it sort of hit an impasse in the Senate because the votes were not there to take up the bill that came from the House. There's been work going on all year long with Kerry, Lieberman, and Lindsey Graham to put a bill together, but they still haven't finalized language in this bill to take forward, although they say that they will have something in a matter of weeks. There's an alternative approach by Maria Cantwell and Susan Collins, which is basically a cap and dividend. It's just redistribution of a tax generated to folks who can't pay their electricity bills because of the increased price it's going to impose. And that's not a thoughtful strategic approach to our energy problems. It's not going to lead to energy security in this country. And so I don't think personally, by what I assess, I don't think the votes are there at this time to move this forward. But we're gonna keep a wary eye because it's not dead, and it could very well resurrect.
There was an article in one of the Washington papers last week, and they interviewed some of the folks that voted, some of the moderates who voted for cap and trade, because by and large conservatives were against it. And several of them said, we're not voting for it again. We didn't realize what was there. Now that we know what's there, we're not doing it. And one of the, I think Mark Kirk, who is running for Obama's old seat in Illinois, voted for it in the House, but said he will vote against it in the Senate.
And Mike Castle as well was running for the Senate.
Mike Castle, who voted for it in the House, running for the Senate, favored to win in Delaware, says he will vote against it if elected to the Senate. And so there's an awakening, if you will, to the economic ramifications. And as there is this awakening, people are switching from, oh, I support it, to, oh my gosh, what did I do? Or as my daughter would say, OMG. I would abbreviate, what did I do?
We in Louisiana know that good energy policy really dovetails very nicely with good economic policy and environmental policy. We understand that. I mean, we're dealing with our coastline issues. We want to be good stewards of the environment while also having a very sensible energy policy going forward. That's good for the economy. That's going to promote economic growth. And what you see with these cap and trade proposals is really going in the wrong direction. It's actually going to hurt the economy, make us less competitive. It's going to hurt, again, and I can't say it often enough, it's going to hurt seniors on fixed income and small business owners. And that's, you know, particularly with small business, that's the backbone of our economy. That's where the real job creation occurs. And so, you know, I just don't see this as good policy.
Okay. That it? Well, thanks to everyone for participating. Thanks, Congressman, and thank you, Pat, for hosting us. Thanks you all for coming out. If you have any follow-up questions, you know, feel free to reach out to us, and thanks again.